morning, good afternoon, good evening po sa lahat. Saan man panig po kayo ng daigdig naroon. Welcome to our 172nd, 172 episode of Stop COVID Deaths webinar series brought to you by University of the Philippines. Thank you for being part of our credible online community, and to all those who have just discovered us today, welcome po at sana po marami po kayong matutunan sa ating pag-uusapan sa araw na ito. At ito po ay tungkol sa National Cochlear Implant Program of the Philippines. It's a groundbreaking initiative that has not only revolutionized the lives of countless individuals within the deaf community, also opened new avenues for communication and connection po. Ang ating pong mga eksperto, our esteemed panel of experts, will delve into the intricacies of the National Cochlear Implant Program, shedding light on historical context, current initiatives, and future prospects. We'll also talk about how cochlear implants have emerged as a pivotal tool in bridging the communication gap, enabling individuals with hearing impairments to engage more fully in the world of spoken language. And another focus of the webinar po will be the vital role of speech pathologists po. That's right, in this transformative process. I'm Dr. Raymond Francis Sarmiento, Director of National Telehealth Center, National Institutes of Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. Always a pleasure to be with all of you during our regular Friday, and always looking forward, because it's my pleasure and honor po to host this program with our adjunct research faculty, also internationally renowned public health communications expert, Dr. Susie Pineda Mercado. Dr. Susie?
Hi Raymond, good afternoon. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. And I'd like to greet everyone who's here with us on the live broadcast on Zoom, as well as those who are watching on the playback. And I know some of you are watching via live streaming, TVUP YouTube channel, as well as the UP Systems Facebook page, the TVUP Facebook page, Stop COVID Deaths Facebook page, ang daming Facebook page, pero nandyan kayong lahat, and we welcome all of you. And of course, for those of you who are watching the TVUP Signal TV channel 101, we've got a very, very interesting topic, and as always, we bring you the best possible speakers. So we're going to talk about deafness. I mean, some people think, it's not a common problem or a big issue, but actually it is in terms of quality of life of patients. And today we have three speakers. Our main speakers are Dr. Maria Lia C. Tantoco, who is a consultant from the Department of Otorhinolaryngology of the UP Philippine General Hospital and coordinator for audiology services of the National Cochlear Implant Program. And then we also have Professor Jamie Lynn Katangay Ombao, who serves as the coordinator for speech therapy services of the National Cochlear Implant Program, as well as faculty member of the College of Allied Medical Professions, again of the University of the Philippines, Manila. Our reactor is Dr. Maria Rina T. Reyes Quintos, who is chair of the Department of Otorhinolaryngology of the UP Philippine General Hospital. And finally, synthesis and closing, none other than our very own Dr. Stella Marie Jose, who is the head of the Office of Expanded Education and Training at the UP PGH Medical Center. So, as in our opening billboard, we started out talking about COVID, Raymond, no? Ilan
Yes,
na ba to? Ilan na nga to? 100?
172.
Oh my goodness. So, Raymond and I met each other after a long, long time last week. And you guys won't believe it, but actually, the team has only met in person once. We've done everything virtually. I think what we've discovered is that we can work together this way, and we are very glad. We're just very happy that you're here with us today. Kasi kung hindi po sa inyo, wala naman po kami rito. So anyway, we hope to bring you the best, and that you will benefit from all the the expertise of our experts, and whatever we prepared for the program today. Anyway, part of what we're doing, I think, is to bring you the latest news updates from here and around the world. And it's for this reason that we bring you the news update.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Susie. And we are looking at our first news update po, and this comes from the Daily Tribune. Ang sabi po dito, 50 million, 50 million po na COVID vaccine doses were wasted. This is as per Senator Pia Cayetano, when she was defending the DOH's proposed 353.2 billion budget for next year. This was revealed at the resumption of the Senate plenary debates, and it was mentioned that the wastage of COVID vaccines is 49.73 million doses po. So that's something na that's very shocking po, no? And made the disclosure after Senate Minority Leader Pimentel inquired about the wastage. And citing data from the department, Senator Cayetano noted that 26.2 million of the total expired COVID vaccines came from various donations abroad, while the remaining 23.7 million doses were government procured. And 38.54 million doses expired due to its short lifespan. She mentioned that they'd like to emphasize that the shelf life of COVID vaccines very, very, very short, only 6 months, and the donation was 3 months. So there were those also daw now mayroon lang 1 month na shelf life. So something really to think about as we are moving towards better, more efficient, and optimization po ng ating procurement process in the future. Dr. Susie, what's your news?
Okay, news from the World Health Organization. They just launched Stop the Lies, a campaign on a vital initiative to protect young people from the tobacco industry and their deadly products by calling for an end to tobacco industry interference in health policy. The campaign is supported by new evidence from the Global Tobacco Industry Interference Index 2023, published by STOP and the Global Center for Good Governance in Tobacco Control, which shows that efforts to protect health policy from increased tobacco industry interference have deteriorated around the world. WHO aims to amplify youth voices, expose tobacco industry tactics, and increase public awareness on the need to defend health policies and protect the health of future generations. Youth groups around the world are participating in this, and WHO stands firmly behind young people who want their governments to exercise more action and more political will in protecting them from being deadly targets of the tobacco industry. And that's our news for today. We'll be back with more news next week on the News Update. Okay, and we're back. Sorry. Hi. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we've got a great topic. I think we will look forward to listening to our speakers. But I think before that, Raymond, you may want to introduce our person on the street for today.
Thank you.
Section for today. Yeah, go ahead, Raymond.
Thank you, Dr. Susie. To set our discussion into context, we'll be showing po short, maybe 5 minutes or less po na video produced by the TVUP team. What we do is that we ask or interview common folks on the street to gauge what they already know about the topic at hand, and then move towards more details and clarifications and explanations from our esteemed panel of experts po during the webinar proper. So in this video, just to put into context what's the baseline knowledge of our interviewees about the topic po, we asked them, may kakilala po ba kayong may problema sa pandinig? Ano ang ginawa nila para masolusyonan ito? Paano ninyo kinakausap ang mga kakilala ninyong may problema sa pandinig? Narinig nyo na po ba ang newborn hearing screening program? At narinig nyo na rin ba ang National Cochlear Implant Program? Alam nyo po ba kung saan mahanap ang mga healthcare facilities na nagbibigay ng mga ganoong serbisyo? Please watch this.
Actually, ang kilala kong nagkaroon ng problema sa pandinig is yung tatay ko before.
Yung isa, great-grandmother ko, and yung isa, yung mother ko.
Meron. Personally, malapit siya sa akin.
Meron po, nung kabataan ko po, meron po.
Yung great-grandmother ko kasi, binilan talaga siya ng hearing aid. So yun, kahit may hearing aid, medyo mahirap pa din siyang kausapin. So, ang gagawin talaga is lalapitan talaga para kausapin.
Siyempre, nung umpisa, medyo mahirap kasi nga dahil yung nga, nagkaroon siya ng difficulty sa pagdinig. Tapos, at a certain time, parang nagkaroon siya ng mga discomfort, umuugong yung tenga, ganon.
Special child po kasi siya dun sa amin po. So, sa streets lang po, dun po namin siya nakakahalubin.
Right ear lang po ang gumagana sa kanya. Kaya para sa akin, pinapatabi niya kami actually. Siya actually nagpapadyo sa amin. Pinapatabi namin niya kami sa kanan niya para makipag-usap sa kanila maayos. Kapag nilalagay talaga kami sa kaliwa, wala kaming maririnig. Nalala ko one time, tinatawag ko siya from the left, eh hindi niya ako marinig.
Actually, never heard of that. Kasi nag-try lang kami na magpa-check up dun sa American Hearing Center, doon sa alam kong hospital. So, yun, from there, doon lang kami nagpa-consult kung paano yung treatment na pwedeng gawin.
Actually, yung newborn screening hearing program, narinig ko na yan. And yung cochlear, I've also heard about it. Pero yung mga facilities, hindi ko talaga alam kung saan siya matatagpuan and kung sino yung mga dapat kausapin about that.
Sa totoo, nag-adapt na lang sila. Kasi sa kaalaman ko, nung bata siya, ayaw niya talaga mag-hearing aid. Kaya medyo nag-adapt na lang siya growing up na adjusting environment niya. Para sa music, yung ginagamit niya na earphones, yung bone conducting na earphones, yung parang nakaganon lang sa temples mo. And dati, parang isang earbud lang ginagamit niya. So, mostly adaptation.
Nung kapanahonan po kasi nung bata pa po ako, yung parang mas more on gestures po kasi yung ginagawa nila sa amin eh. Yung ginagawa namin sa kanila pa po pala.
Hindi ko pa narinig yung program and wala pa rin akong alam na parang yung mga opportunity na pwedeng magbigay ng mga program and yung mga healing programs para sa mga ganong cases.
Actually, hindi kami nakapunta sa mga programs na yan kasi that was quite a long time na, medyo matagal na, siguro hindi pa ganun ka updated talaga pagdating sa mga ganyang bagay.
Based naman po sa pangalan ng program po mukhang yun parang focus naman po siya dun sa katulad nung may mga kapansanan siguro ni Simsim.
Mas maganda siguro na ma-propagate or mapa-advertise yung ganitong facilities ng government. Like kunwari sa mga commercials, ganyan, or sa YouTube man lang. Para maging aware din yung mga tao na may mga ganito palang facilities.
Mas maganda din, ang pinakamaganda talaga ay maalam talaga natin na meron ganitong klase mga programa para hindi lang tayo nagre-rely sa pagtingin na kailangan natin sumugod sa pribadong hospital or magantay ng matagal sa mga publikong hospital upang ma-treat ang ganitong mga kondisyon.
Tapos yung mga cochlear implants, malaking tulong din yan kasi aesthetically, hindi na nakalabas yung hearing aid, yung mga nasa loob na yung aparato kung ano man yung ikakabit sa tenga para makatulong na marinig niya ng maayos yung kapaligiran niya.
Okay, thank you so much, TVUP. What did you think about that, Dr. Susie?
Yeah, Raymond, parang I think it's fitting that we have these updates on what are the interventions for deafness. Kasi I remember when I was a kid, yung nurse namin, yung school nurse, every year, merong, yun nga yung tuning fork, di ba, na ginagawa sa ulo mo. But my kids, when they were growing up, wala nang gano'n, no? And I have a couple of friends who had children na hindi anong tawag nito, na hindi nagpo-progress masyado sa development nila as babies, no? Nagsasalita, yung pala merong problema sa pandinig. So, at the point of birth, importante talagang malaman yon. Doon naman sa other side of the scale, for older people, meron kasing mga lumabas na na sa Johns Hopkins University na hearing loss can contribute to a faster rate of atrophy of the brain. No, parang hindi ka nakakarinig, yun dun sila nagkaka-dementia, nagkaka-Alzheimer's, whatever. So I think while in itself it is not a life-threatening condition, the quality of life of the person is really very much affected, yung mental health, yung relationships with other people. So I think what I gathered from the person on the street is talagang tama lang na mag-update tayo ngayon, di ba? It's a good time to talk about it. So, yun yung akin rin.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susie. I remember din po, no, may mga ganon. Well, umpisa, may ganon nga, may tuning fork, but eventually it went away. So I'm not sure if that was something
nga.
that they
Diba? I remember that when we were young, even your eyes, when you just, the first few weeks of school, timbangin ka, titingnan yung mata mo, may tuning fork, mga ganon.
Correct po.
Wala nang ganon, hindi ko alam. So, very important to know these things, particularly kung nagkaroon ka ng ear infection, di ba? Tapos later on.
That's true.
Anyway, so we are looking forward to listening to our experts today, and we hope you stay tuned. Invite the others who might be interested to join us. Wala pa naman yung speaker natin, pero may housekeeping na si Raymond. Raymond, go ahead.
Just a little bit of housekeeping po. So, All Stop COVID Deaths webinar certificates, we've already sent them out for 1 to 171. If you feel you should have received one but did not, you can email us at stopcoviddeaths@up.edu.ph. So, yung pong mga, let's say, nagre-request po bakit po ganito, or let's say, naputol po ang kanilang connection and then they resume their watching, will they still be receiving a certificate? So if you are able to watch at least 50% of the webinar duration, then yes, you'll be able to receive po this certificate of attendance that's being shown on the screen. Okay? So for our webinar today, we'll be having a standard panel discussion format, and after our speakers have presented, that will be followed by a Q&A session. But before we delve into the webinar proper po, we have a cute intro video as part of our fun quiz segment for today.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Kumusta na kayo lahat?
Hi, I'm Doc Susie, the mini Doc Susie.
And I'm Doc Radar, the mini Doc Raymond. Are you ready to have fun? Simply open your browser to www.slido.com and enter your code to participate. We will discuss your answers during the panel discussion later on in the program.
We will have it flashing on your screen in a bit, and we look forward to your answers. Masaya at madali lang ito. Join na!
Talagang mermaid na mermaid.
Thank you so much, TVUP. Can we have po on the screen? There we go. And also dito po sa Zoom. So for those who are joining us outside of the Zoom, Facebook or YouTube po, you can still participate in our fun quiz. Open up your browsers po, kahit ano po yon. You type in the address bar slido.com, and when you are prompted, you enter the code 6510096. That's 6510096 for you to be able to participate in our fun quiz segment. For today, we have 2 questions po. First question, madali lang po ito. Kailan po ang pinakamaaga? When is the earliest that you should intervene when it comes to hearing loss? Is it A, as soon as possible? Sa lalong madaling panahon. Letter B po, after 7 years old. Letter C, at 1 year of age. Or letter D, at 12 years old po. We'd like to greet those who are joining us all the way from the University of Cordillera in Baguio City, General Emilio Aguinaldo Memorial Hospital, 13 Martires, Cavite, Chonghua Hospital in Cebu, Mabuhay St. Francis of Assisi Clinic in Mondragon, Northern Samar, Southern Philippines Medical Center in Davao City, Davao del Sur, and Cagadas Medical Clinic in Catarman in Camiguin. We'd also like to greet those who are dito po na bumabate dito po sa ating webinar chat. University of Rizal System Health Services Unit from Loma de Gato, Marilao, Bulacan. Maraming salamat po. From Bataan, the province of Bataan, from Tanay Rizal, thank you so much. The province of Cavite also, maraming salamat po. From Los Baños, Laguna po, thank you so much. From Diliman and the Philippine General Hospital. For question number 2, mas madali po, it reads, anybody with hearing loss can communicate immediately as soon as given a cochlear implant. Ito po ba ay true? Or ito po ba ay hindi totoo or false? We'd like to greet those who are watching us internationally, ang ating mga suki from Los Angeles, California. in the United States, Chuanin Hospital in Taipei City in Taiwan, Island Hospital in Penang, Malaysia, Canadian Medical Center in Dammam, Saudi Arabia, University of Hail in Hail, Saudi Arabia, Taif, Saudi Arabia, and Dunichi Al University of Blida 2 in Blida, Algeria. So we'll keep this open po, especially for those who will want to participate. At hintayin nyo rin po ang tamang kasagutan mamaya po towards after the Q&A session po. No? We'll hear it directly from the experts themselves as we move on to the webinar proper. Dr. Susie?
Thank you so much, Raymond. I know that everyone is excited to get the webinar underway, so let me introduce our first presenter. She is consultant from the Department of Otorhinolaryngology of the UP Philippine General Hospital and the coordinator for audiology services of the National Cochlear Implant Program. Please welcome Dr. Maria Leah C. Fonte. Dr. Leah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Raymond and Dr. Susan Pineda Mercado for inviting us and giving us an opportunity to share what we do here in the ear unit of UPPGH to your viewers. So let me share my screen to start off my lecture.
Go ahead po.
Sorry. Hold on. I have to start from the beginning. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. In observance of the Deafness Awareness Week, we'd like to talk about the rehabilitation of people with hearing loss. Now, it's but fitting that we talk about the next steps that we take once a patient is diagnosed with impaired hearing. Now, there are different degrees of hearing loss, and as you can see, if a patient has moderate down to profound hearing loss, they will not have access to the vowels and consonants present, and therefore they will have difficulty developing speech. Now, it was mentioned early on that timing is important. We do hearing screening as early as the first 24 months after birth, 24 hours after birth, and within the first month for the hearing screening and rescreening. At third month, we do the confirmatory test once they fail in the initial and rescreening test, and do intervention as early as 6 months. So as early as 6 months, we fit babies with hearing aids already. And these are the modalities that we can choose from for babies with sensorineural hearing loss. We have hearing aids as our first choice for rehabilitation. Implantable devices, just in case the hearing aids doesn't work. And for a special group of patients with microtia, which I will be talking about also later, we have CROSS and the BAHA. Now, the goals in fitting children is, of course, to facilitate their language development. We'd like our kids to speak and to communicate with us and their parents and their teachers and their classmates. Also, to enhance the child's understanding of the family's understanding of the child's needs. For example, the child is hungry or wants to do something, he can communicate it well with using speech instead of just gestures. Also, we do intervention to monitor the child's progress and make decisions in case we want to change our intervention. So if hearing aids is not working, what to do next, what steps we have to let the parents know what to do. So these are the things that we need to do for rehabilitation of patients with hearing loss. Now, we are very familiar with hearing aids. These are miniature amplification devices to improve one's hearing. They can range from very small inconspicuous hearing aids to what we normally see the behind the ear type. Now, what do we do now when hearing aids are not enough? We send the child for fitting of hearing aids. We have sent also the child for speech therapy, and they came back with no appreciable improvement in their speech. So what do we do next? Do we send the child for sign language, total communication? So remarkably, these days, because of technology, we have the cochlear implant. Now, this cochlear implant has been with us, in the industry since the 1950s, but in UPPGH, the first implant I think was 1994. 2004 rather. Now, this device is surgically implanted inside the cochlea or the inner ear, and it is done by special ENT surgeons who have undergone extensive training in neuro-otology. So me, I'm an ENT specialist, but I do not do cochlear implant. I'm an audiologist, so I adjust the cochlear implant which was implanted by the neuro-otologist. So far in the Philippines, from 2004, we have implanted about 500 pedia patients and a small number of adult patients who have lost their hearing for one reason or another. We call those adult patients who have lost their hearing in later on in their life as postlingual, and those patients born without usable hearing as prelingual. So it's difficult to teach children how to speak when they cannot hear anything. Now, just to give you an idea of how a cochlear implant system works, it's a small device containing a string of electrodes which is going to be implanted in the cochlea. So once the wound has healed, there's still a processor. I heard a comment from a person a while ago that there will be no device outside anymore. But no, there's still going to be a device outside because that is where the battery will be placed, and the consequent attachment to the computer for adjustment will be also made. The adjustments is done periodically, at least based on the patient's adjustment to the wearing of the processor and to the improvement hearing-wise. It has been approved. So it looks like this once patient is already wearing the processor. So it has been approved for children 12 to 24 months with profound hearing loss, or children 2 to 17 years with severe to profound hearing loss who have demonstrated limited benefit from hearing aids binaurally. So as I mentioned a while ago, once detected for hearing loss, a patient can undergo cochlear implantation with optimal benefit from the implant. Once they become older, a little bit older, they're still suitable for implantation, but the outcomes becomes variable when these children becomes older. So there's no telling whether they will actually improve already with cochlear implant, but still we need to still try. Now, I did mention a while ago about a special group of patients who have underdeveloped ear. So the ear may be folded, we call that microtia, and it's quite common in the Asia-Pacific region. There are also patients who have been born without the usual ear canal opening. These patients cannot benefit from hearing aids, obviously, because for one, those with microtia, there's no way you can anchor the behind the ear hearing aid. Whereas this with oral atresia, there might be hearing loss still, but you cannot put the hearing aids because there's no way you can put the hearing aid and inside a blocked ear canal. What we do here is we use implantable devices as well. We have the BAHA, the EAS, and the bone bridge. So this BAHA, or the bone anchored hearing aid for babies, is fitted using a soft band. Once the patient is older, maybe when the patient is around 7 or 8 years old, we put an implant, a titanium implant, placed in the bone behind the ear. So it's in the mastoid area. So there's the small titanium implant there. Now, after the wound has healed, the processor, external processor, is again connected. So there's again another device connected. So this is the one that you use to adjust, just like the CI, the processor is adjusted periodically. Now, all these devices and the procedure is quite costly. And so not too many patients can actually afford this. In 2019, we started through the efforts of our dean of the UP College of Medicine, Dr. Chong, with the Philippine National Ear Institute as the implementing agency in cooperation with DOH, UP Manila, and NHSRC, the NCIP, or the National Cochlear Implant Program, was launched. There was an initial budget of 25 million coming from the GAA of the Senate, and 4 hospitals actually were involved in the study or in the program. So it's UPPGH in NCR, Corazon Locsin Memorial Hospital in Bacolod, the Southern Philippines Medical Center in Davao, and the Western Visayas Medical Center in Iloilo. But remember, this is the beginning of the COVID, of the pandemic, and so it was quite difficult for us. The initial plan was for the team to go to the hospitals in the south. We go to Bacolod, the team goes to Davao, operate there, and also in Iloilo. However, there were no flights back then, and it was difficult to collect all these patients. And so we started operating on these patients late December 2020. These are the patients' criteria. They should be 5 years old and below. Remember, if we implant them early on, we will have more success. Bilateral refer results in OAE, that's what we use in newborn hearing screening, and confirmed with ABR and ASSR. They have undergone hearing trial for 1 month, so we want to make sure that they really do not benefit from wearing hearing aids. There are no comorbidities such as Down syndrome, autism, and of course, we want to serve patients who really deserve to get a free implant because they cannot afford it. So we need to have a DSWD evaluation. So in total, from December 2020 to maybe mid of 2021, we were able to operate on 20 patients. All of them were operated here in PGH because we cannot go to these provinces. We asked the patients to come here in Manila. So in total, as you can see, it's a little bit sloping towards Luzon because we have had difficulty getting patients from Visayas and Mindanao. The mean age is 37 months, and the youngest is 13 months, and eldest being at 61 months, so more or less 5 years old. Now, we monitored their progress using aided testing and CAP scoring. This is how we gauge whether they are getting better. So obviously with the big graph there, it shows that some of them are really improving, 5 being the best. Also, we use the speech and scoring for ease of listening. So most of them, according to their teachers, the speech pathologists, who we also asked us to join, so these children, they get free speech therapy for a year also. Now, I would like to show you, Sana, one of our recipients who was operated at the age of 2. And this recording was done just last September when he came to visit me in the ear unit. So if I may.
Stand, boys and millions house. Stand, boys and millions house. Stand, and the rain came down. The rain came down.
So I'm very happy for his development. He's in regular school now. He's attending regular school, but he still attends his speech therapy sessions. And, you know, we realize the need for programs such as this because of the children who needs this kind of technology but has no means of obtaining them. And so we are doing the NCIP 2 in the coming months, and hopefully we'll have continuing programs such as this. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Tantoca. Especially like the last part, yung may video po na nagsasalita yung bata.
Galing, ano, Raymond?
Galing.
Galing. And
Super
I think,
susunod.
yeah, I think people need to know that these options exist kasi ano nga, parang although matagal na nga meron yan, pero ngayon, this is an opportunity for us to make it more known, that this is available. Thank you so much, Dr. Tantoco. We'll go now to our next speaker. Raymond, ikaw nang mag-introduce.
Sige. Thank you, Dr. Tantoca, and thank you, Dr. Susie. Our second of 2 main speakers po, no? But before I introduce her, reminder lang po, and we've seen a lot of questions already being put in dito po sa ating Q&A box and answered din po. But we still encourage everyone to start typing in additional questions you may have here in the Zoom Q&A. I also saw one here dito po sa chat box po natin or in the comment section of the Step COVID Deaths Facebook page, TVUP Facebook pages, or TVUP YouTube channel. We scour and scan all of those and we'll be selecting po yung mga we feel are important questions for those that are upvoted here dito po sa Zoom. Okay? Our next speaker, coordinator po for speech therapy services of the National Cochlear Implant Program, also coordinator po for the Master of Clinical Audiology Program at the College of Medicine, faculty member of the College of Allied Medical Professions of the University of the Philippines, Manila. Please welcome to your screens Professor Jamie Lynn Katangay Ombao. Professor Jamie.
And thank you, Dr. Sarmiento and Dr. Pineda Mercado. Thank you for inviting us so that we can share po the latest services that we provide for our clients with hearing loss. So let me just share my screen. Yeah. I hope everyone can see my screen already.
Yes,
so,
po. Go ahead.
Again, I am Jamie Ombao, and I'm going to talk about facilitating the development of communication skills after cochlear implantation. So we typically communicate through spoken language. We build relationships. We express our ideas. We share our thoughts through speech. And in order for people to develop spoken language, in order for people to learn how to use speech, one must have access to sounds. So especially po doon sa mga sounds of speech. So just to give you a brief step-by-step process on how we learn how to communicate through speech, we must learn how to listen. And then those that we hear, we must integrate with other information. Like for example, visual information, tactile information, olfactory information, etc., that we experience, and so that we can make sense of the sounds that we hear. And through that, after we build our vocabulary, we are also able to use the words that we learn, the sounds that we learn, to be able to talk. So for our clients with hearing loss, this can be a concern because they will have very limited access to the sounds that are important to the development of speech. But we are fortunate that we have technologies that will help us develop spoken communication skills for our clients with hearing loss. So one of the options that was presented by Dr. Tantoco a while ago is cochlear implants. So the use of cochlear implants will provide opportunities for children who are profoundly deaf to develop communication skills. However, I must emphasize that the use of it alone will not guarantee spoken language. And it is because it's important for children to undergo speech therapy in order to maximize their potential to listen, make sense of the sounds around them, and then eventually talk. So what happens when we have cochlear implants? It just provides us the opportunity. It provides us the capability to have access to the sounds around us, especially the sounds of speech. But children need to learn how to listen. And that is one of the things that speech therapists focus on. So one of the most common approaches that we use in speech therapy, especially if families would want their children to develop spoken language, is auditory verbal therapy. So I'll just read through this quite long description on what auditory verbal therapy is. So auditory verbal therapy facilitates optimal acquisition of spoken language through listening by newborns, infants, toddlers, and young children who are deaf or hard of hearing. Auditory verbal therapy promotes early diagnosis, one-on-one therapy, and state-of-the-art audiologic management and technology. Parents and caregivers actively participate in therapy. Through guidance, coaching, and demonstration, parents become the primary facilitators of their child's spoken language development. Ultimately, parents and caregivers gain confidence that their child will have access to a full range of academic, social, and occupational choices. Auditory verbal therapy must be conducted in adherence to the principles of LSLS auditory verbal therapy. So if you've noticed, in auditory verbal therapy, we develop spoken language through listening. So in order to be able to do that, one must be able to be diagnosed as early as possible and must be provided with the appropriate listening devices. One must undergo speech therapy as soon as possible also. And one of the key factors in the success of auditory verbal therapy is having parents or caregivers who are actively participating in the intervention. So we teach the parents, we provide knowledge that are important in developing spoken language to them so that they become the primary teachers or facilitators of language to their children. In an ideal setting, certified auditory verbal therapists provide AVT. So they are certified by AG Bell Academy in the US. But in our country, in the Philippines, we only have one certified auditory verbal therapist as of today, who is based in the country. Although we have more Filipino AVTs, but they're not based in the Philippines as of the moment. So In our setting, it is speech language pathologists with AVT training who provide the AVT services. So we are very fortunate to have the National Cochlear Implant Program. And in this program, we are able to provide not only the implants, but also the support after implantation. So one of the support services that we are able to provide is speech therapy to ensure that our clients or our participants will be able to develop spoken language. So because of the timing of the program, it was during the time of the pandemic. Some of our clients were seen by therapists through teletherapy, while some were seen by therapists in person. So yung mga teletherapy sessions po were done via Zoom or Google Meet, while the in-person sessions were done at the centers or the homes of the clients. For teletherapy, it's not only because of the restrictions because of COVID, but it's also a way of connecting therapists and clients who are not in the same area. So for example, we have clients from the Visayas that receive teletherapy services from our speech therapists here in Luzon. So the focus of our therapy, whether teletherapy or in-person sessions, is to educate and train parents and caregivers to facilitate listening, building language, and using spoken language. So here's a sample of what's happening during teletherapy. So our therapist coaches, in this case, the father of one of our participants, and they use fun activities that they can do at home to facilitate listening skills and then eventually develop spoken language. So they're playing hide and seek, and other fun games for kids. So I'd like to share with you the journey of one of our participants in NCIP. So in this slide, we have 3 videos. So I will play it one by one.
How to wash? We need water and soap. Oh, ano ko? Soap. Oh, you put soap, Ethan. You put soap, Ethan. Ethan, oh. You wash.
Okay. So as you've seen from the first video, the parent or the mother was stimulating the child with auditory input while they were doing the activity of washing or bathing the animals. So here, the child is given opportunities to listen, and they also include the sibling of the child with hearing loss. So it auditory verbal therapy really encourages the participation not only of the parents but of the entire family in facilitating communication. So at this stage, the child is just learning how to listen.
Okay? Okay, good job. Dog. What does the dog say? Narinig mo, Irene?
Okay. So here now they are doing book sharing. So again, the parent is providing the child with opportunities to listen. And at this point, the child is already vocalizing. So because of the stimulation that the child received, because of the cochlear implants, and because of the opportunities provided also by the therapist and the family, the child learned how to vocalize.
Yay, go away. Come again another day. Mommy wants.
So on the last video in this slide, we saw that the mother was not limited to um, did not limit her the auditory input to usual conversations, but she also used songs and music. So we can now see that at this point, the child can also vary his intonation and also the kind of output of or speech output that he's able to produce. So as mentioned by Dr. Tantoco, through the NCIP, we were able to provide free speech therapy services to our clients for about a year. So here is our client's progress as the as he finished the cycle of speech therapy. So in this video, you can see that his vocalizations were more distinct and meaningful. So when he was putting the vehicle up on the slide, he said ah ah ah, and then when he released the vehicle and it slided down, he said wee. So the intonation matched the movement as well. Okay. So in this video, you've seen that he doesn't only recognize the sounds, he's also able to imitate the sounds, and he's also able to associate the sounds to meaning. So when the mother said moo, the child said moo as well, and then he selected the cow that represents the sound moo.
Six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeye, wow, Oishi, pipi, pipi.
And on our last video in this slide, we see that he's now able to recognize the numbers, and his vocalizations or his speech is already distinct. We can understand what he is saying already, and this wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the cochlear implant, the early intervention, and the collective efforts of the members of the team, especially the family. So we are hopeful that through our programs that we will be able to reach out to more children with hearing loss and their families so that we can provide support the support that they need in order to develop spoken language, have the same opportunities as their hearing counterparts, and have a good quality of life. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions or if you need any assistance, please do not hesitate to contact me via jvkatangay@up.edu.ph. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Professor
Jamie.
Okbao, maraming salamat. Ang galing, Raymond, ano?
That's true.
Nice to see the little videos. I mean,
I really like the videos. Yeah, po. Very
galing, ano? Ako nga, I have a 1 year and a half apo. We're teaching him how to speak. Marami nang sinasabi, but it's true. You have to really spend time developing those listening and speaking skills. Okay, we have a reactor, and our reactor is chair of the Department of Otorhinolaryngology of UPPGH. Let's welcome Dr. Maria Rina T. Reyes Quintos. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Rina.
Hello, good afternoon.
Sige, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you to both our speakers, Dr. Tantoco and Professor Ombao, for their expert discussion on the topic at hand. Thank you also to TVUP, Dr. Sarmiento, Dr. Pineda Mercado, and Director Alfonso for celebrating Deaf Awareness Week with us. Now for my reaction. Hearing loss is what they call a silent disability or a silent problem. We cannot tell if a newborn baby has hearing loss just by physical examination. And that is why a very important concept that Dr. Tantoco brought forth is early detection of hearing loss before 1 month of age using newborn hearing screening tests. This is mandatory to all newborns in the Philippines due to the Republic Act 9709. Early diagnosis using diagnostic tests like the auditory brainstem response test before 3 months of age, and early intervention using hearing aids or maybe bone-anchored hearing aids and possibly cochlear implants before 6 months of age. That's for hearing aids. For cochlear implants, they say that it's ideal, like Dr. Tantoco said, at about 1 year to 1.5 years up to 3. The ear unit of the PGH has all the necessary equipment necessary to assess an individual's hearing loss if needed. And accompanying this audiological intervention, and should never be without it, as Professor Ombao mentioned, is speech and language intervention by a speech pathologist. We cannot just fit a child with hearing aids and cochlear implants and leave them alone watching TV or by themselves. It is not like wearing glasses, no? Once you have the right prescription, you don't need therapy or anyone to teach you how to see. Hearing aids and implants should be accompanied by speech and language therapy. Our most successful hearing aid and implantable hearing device users, or our cochlear implants, have been those with involved parents and excellent records in attending their sessions with their audiologists and speech pathologists. We also have several programs in UP Manila and in PGH which help those with hearing loss. Like was mentioned, we have the National Cochlear Implant Program, and we are hoping for National Cochlear Implant Program 2, which was started by our current Dean of the UP College of Medicine, Dean Charlotte Chong, which has the goal of providing needed implants for those when hearing aids are not enough. This is a step towards providing those who cannot afford these expensive implants an opportunity to benefit from these. The ones benefited for the first NCIP were 20 recipients of the implant, but we hope that this can be a continuing program. We also have the Hearing with Disability Hub, the Z Package program, and the PNEI of NAH has the HALIP program, or the Hearing Loss Intervention Program, which provides hearing aids to children who need them. Now, if hearing aids or cochlear implantable devices are not possible, an alternative form of communication like total communication, like Professor Ombao mentioned, which includes the use of sign language, may be taught to the child. In any case, early introduction to this form of communication is also imperative. More vocabulary, more language learned to develop educationally at par with same age peers. So what we are saying here, that the earlier that language is introduced, the better for the child, whether it's for a hearing environment or a sign language education. For those who develop hearing loss in late childhood or adulthood, these individuals are what we call postlingual, like what Dr. Tantoco mentioned. This means that they have learned the correct use of speech and language already. Most will probably not have any very distinguishable speech and language problem, but they will have problems in listening and understanding conversations. Hearing aids would again be of help to these individuals, as well as other listening devices and cochlear implants. when hearing aids are not enough. But before all that, a thorough evaluation to the cause of the hearing loss must be sought. So again, we go back to the importance of early detection, diagnosis, or confirmation, and intervention for hearing loss. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rina, for that excellent intervention. And we're all looking forward to a little bit more discussion in a moment, so please stay with us. Okay, Raymond, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susan. Thank you so much to the chair of ENT, or the Department of Otorhinolaryngology, Dr. Rina Reyes Quintos. So for now, we will be encouraging our speakers po to open up your videos and your audio po, no? And while you're doing that, we'll go ahead po with our very, very quick break for a special public service announcement today.
Maaari na bang magpabakuna ang mga batang 5 hanggang 11 taong gulang?
Oo, nagsimula ito noong Pebrero.
Nagpapakuna na ba kayo?
Oo, nagpabakuna na kami.
Ay, mga bata, magpapakuna na kayo.
Stay safe and stay well. Mga bata, magpasama na sa Bakuna Center. Thank you so much, TVUP, the COVID Communication Public Service Announcement, just one of the many outputs of the webinar team to push for COVID-19 vaccination. So please share this video clip in all your social media accounts. Stay safe and stay well. Magpasama na po sa Bakuna Center. Okay, we'll start the ball rolling with our first question, Dr. Susie.
Yeah, thank you so much. First, thank you to our panelists for your time. We know na you spend time putting things together, the videos and all of that. I'm sure you will see that the audience really appreciates all of this, and think this is an opportunity for us to interact. But before we get going with some of the questions from the audience, I'd like to ask, I have a 1.5-year-old grandson. I was just saying this about earlier, no? And he watches a YouTube channel called Miss Rachel. I don't know if you know about Miss Rachel, but anyway, Miss Rachel teaches the babies, it's a baby toddler kind of program on YouTube, to sign and to speak at the same time. And was in fact saying that my daughter was saying that babies actually can learn how to do sign language before they speak. So my question is, how about the family support? Like for a child, you have talked about the patient, right? Patient with an intervention and then therapy. Okay. But how about the rest of the family? And then my second question is, how about our community? Should we not be universally learning how to communicate with individuals who are deaf? Or what are we doing about that? So it's the support side of it. Sige, anyone can answer. Yeah, thank you.
Sige po, I will answer. So the first question is, Dr. Pineda Mercado.
Yeah, the first question is, how about the family?
Yeah.
What kind of interventions do we have for parents, for siblings? Diba? Because a lot of socialization, whether you're deaf with an implant or learning how to sign right, is about your interaction with others. So do we have programs for the rest of the family? And then second, what are we doing naman for the community?
So first, for the families, if they are enrolled in speech therapy, so we provide support for the families as well. So we include the parents and also the siblings, sometimes even the cousins, sometimes even the kapitbahay, the classmate, to join our therapy sessions so that they will know how to interact with clients who have hearing loss. As for the community, that is what we want to work on. And not only for those who are enrolled in speech therapy, we are actually in the process of building linkages with the deaf community so that we will learn also ngayon just the basics of doing sign language. So hopefully in the future we can integrate it in our programs po.
Maybe we should do that on our program, Raymond. Meron tayong lesson.
True.
The 30-second lesson on signing. Okay, let's see. Dr. Leia, you wanted to say something.
Yes, Dr. Mercado. I have no problem with children learning how to sign too. After all, we are in the country, a lot of us use gestures most of the time. Like when you say, call me, kain na tayo. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good accompaniment to using auditory stimulus as well. So,
sige po,
yes,
sorry. Add
Go ahead.
something after Dr.
Jamie.
Tantoco po.
So,
Sige.
I have no problem with that. Children learning both languages at the same time. When it comes to interaction with other children, I think they develop a whole lot faster than children who are left to the care of the nannies, because the nannies would do something else or busy doing a lot of other things. But if you leave a patient with a cochlear implant to another child who's hearing, and this child starts talking to the CI recipient, I think they develop language so much faster because
But
of
that
the
brings us-
interaction.
Yeah, but that brings us to the question of the capacity or the abilities of schools to absorb children who are differently able. Let's ask Dr. Rina, what do you think?
I agree to both Professor Ombao and Dr. Tantoco. The question first about the family, I think that's one of our roles as audiologists and speech path would be counseling. Before we start anything, we counsel the parents. We ask them to bring whoever is taking care of the children or part of the family to discuss what needs to be done to help the child communicate more efficiently. So they're all in the program, parang ganon. And then I also agree that the child will benefit from learning sign language, like any type of language. I think is a plus or a bonus. It helps the brain to grow and to develop more. And regarding our schools, I think that's maybe one of what could be one of our, one of the things that we can do, no, parang part of our plan to involve the schools, that this is an important issue that has to be addressed. That maybe they need this bit of sign language or knowledge about hearing loss to help all their students, not just those with hearing loss, for better understanding of all the teachers and the other students.
So currently that's not something mainstream, no? Parang, I think the tendency is to put children with different abilities in another kind of program, right?
There are schools that they have both. They have hearing and children with hearing aids or cochlear implants. But these are more expensive schools because they need maybe a smaller, parang instead of one teacher to 50, this school would need 1:20 maybe, so they can take care of those with the hearing losses. So they are parang specialized schools, yung ganon.
Yeah, I think the issue really of access is the problem of access is really a tough one, right? Because you have to have resources not just for the implant and everything else, but going to school and supporting that child. I would just like you to comment on what I said earlier about children learning to sign before they speak. And I can actually see that in the 1.5-year-old in her home. No, so again, I'm not promoting Miss Rachel, but I hear it every day when I'm with my apo. So, my grandson can't say more. He can say more, but not more. But he signs more. Diba? Parang meron siyang signing or mama, no, nagkaganon siya. So I think, I'm just wondering whether in general society has to play a more active role in adopting sign language as part of our languages day-to-day life. Just any comment from any of you?
Language is an evolving thing. It's an ever evolving thing. So I'm open to that. And as Doctors Tantoco and Reyes Quintos mentioned a while ago, learning any language is a good brain exercise. It will build better cognitive skills. So it's no problem with me. I would like to add about the supports for schools.
Yes.
So for those who are seeing audiologists and speech pathologists, of course our kids grow up and they need to go to school. So what we do is that we talk to the teachers, we provide support also for the teachers, we tell them what they can do to facilitate listening and ease of teaching in the classroom setting. So we support mainstreaming and then full inclusion in the regular schools as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Raymond, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susie. The question that I got here, but I'd like to go back muna dito sa what is here in our chat. If there's such a thing as residual hearing, and if there is it true with bilateral profound hearing loss? Coming from Miss Elizabeth Abayan. We'll pose it to the chair, kay Ma'am Rina.
Okay, so it is true. There is what we call residual hearing. Residual hearing is when not all frequencies have no response to sound. So there may be some frequencies, most likely the low frequencies, the 500 hertz, the 250 hertz, that may still respond to some stimulus, but it can still be below it will still be within profound. Kasi ang profound hearing loss is from 90 decibels and worse, no, above to 100, 110. When you say residual, maybe at 500 hertz, there is a response at 95. No? So, but still, that would still be within the profound range. Yeah.
Okay, Raymond, I have a question here, which I think, a couple of months ago, you were talking about this. We know that kids use a lot of social media. They use a lot of, headphones and are probably exposed to a lot of loud music and sounds when they're in that mode. So what do we know about acquired deficiencies in hearing from from using headphones or being constantly exposed to loud music or sound?
May I answer that?
Go ahead, please.
Well, using headphones, actually, for noise-induced hearing loss, there are several decibels that you can be exposed to for some period of time before you develop hearing loss. For example, in a workplace, and it's a noisy workplace, for example, in a factory for tin cans. So there's constant banging all the time. Now, if the noise level in that area is around 80 to 90 dB, you're only allowed exposure in that place for a minimum number of hours, like 4 hours, and then you have to rest. So that's where you use your break time, and then after an hour, then you can go back to doing your job. But in these places, you have to use your hearing protectors all the time, because there's no telling whether this 4 hours is enough for you to keep your hearing healthy still. Because sometimes, you may be, your immune system may be low during that time, and your ears are more susceptible to this loud banging, and therefore you will still develop hearing loss. When it comes to headphones, back in the day when my kids were younger, and they always want to wear headphones, maybe not to listen to my nagging, but every time I pass by behind them and I hear what they're listening to, it means that their listening is something that's very loud. And so I tend to get their headphones and confiscate it. And so they learn how not to wear their headphones too loud.
Yeah. Okay, so another question, and I don't know if this is just in the movies, but I think in reality it's also done some forms of, getting torture. Let's call it that, Raymond. No? It's by using very high frequency sounds, or using that as some kind of a weapon where you actually cannot perceive it anymore, but something happens. So, can you explain to us what happens when you have weaponization of sound, how that affects people, or what happens? Because I don't know what movie was that, Raymond. Was that Mission Impossible, where the ear started to bleed or something? I can't remember.
Ganon, yes, yes.
Pero ganun eh. Pero
Correct,
what
correct.
is happening there, so that, as lay people, how do we understand what that is about? What is that about? Why will your ear bleed? You can't hear anything. Wala, they don't know di ba? Kaya meron ngang mga series where they've investigated mysterious deaths where there are no weapons involved because they're using sound as a weapon. Anyone?
What I know about that is how they use high frequency sound to parang dissuade the young from, let's say, staying too long in a bar or in a place where they shouldn't be hanging out in, because high frequency sounds can be heard by the young, maybe the teenagers, but the old people cannot, like the adults cannot. So, but this one, they can still hear it. So, bale, the children can hear it, but the adults cannot, because as we get older, our hearing deteriorates. And the first thing that deteriorates is usually our high frequency hearing. So they say that in some places, like in the grocery, where they don't like young, boisterous teenagers to be around, they have this constant high-pitched sounds that are only heard by the teenagers or the young children. However, when you're talking about weaponizing sound, maybe that is what we call yung ultrasonic sounds, yung sounds that we cannot hear.
Yes, yes.
Or even dogs, right? Well,
yes.
When we present ultrasonic sounds that only dogs can hear, they are irritated. They stop barking. It's one way to teach them tricks. But I have to say, beyond that, I'm not very familiar with the use of it as a weapon. So those are my thoughts on this.
Yeah. So for example, when you have a high pitched sound, what's the effect on the person? So you hear it, and then why do you go away from it? Is there pain? What is happening there?
What happens there is that it stimulates our cochlea. And our cochlea houses our organ of Corti. And in there, you have your hair cells. Now, when the hair cells are stimulated too much, it becomes disorganized. No? Yeah. Just the same as with noise-induced hearing loss. It gets disorganized and it can be destroyed. However, what you're talking about, if it's very, very loud, our brain can determine that it's very destructive and it's too loud. So parang they want you to run away from the loud sound, and that's one way of they make it toxic for the individual, so they will go out from that area. No, parang ayun, parang it's toxic. It's very
It's toxic to
irritating.
the
It's
okay.
very too loud. Something.
I'm just looking at something called sonic weapons on the internet, where here it, because I was just thinking about this, whether that's just in the movies, right, or was that real? Most sound has been weaponized to disorient or anger opponents, it says. In World War II, during the German siege of the Soviet city of Stalingrad in 1942, Soviet troops kept German forces awake at night by playing Argentine tangos through loudspeakers. And in Vietnam, US forces turned sound into psychological warfare. So it's actually not just in the movies, but it's actually happened. And I just wonder, right, we think about Israel, Hamas, and all of that, what the effect of all that bombing is on people's well-being with very, very frequent exposure to loud sounds. Anyway, Raymond, go over to you. Doctor, I wanted to say something. Rina, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to talk about noise. Noise actually has an effect on our body. It leads to high blood pressure. You know, you cannot sleep when there's noise. It causes irritation, like you mentioned. No? So it can actually be a weapon if you want to use it as such. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Raymond, go ahead. Thank you for that.
Sorry. I only have two questions, and
Let's do the two. We have time for the two.
the first would be, so I'll combine it. The other one kasi was answered by Ma'am Rina, but I'll combine it. So how much does a cochlear implant daw po cost, and does PhilHealth cover the procedure for the implantation po? We'll ask Dr. Tan talk about it.
Well, I did mention mahal kasi talaga yung cochlear implant. The device, including the implant itself plus the processor, can cost around 1 million to 1.5 million. That's excluding the surgery and the hospitalization. Coverage of the PhilHealth, not with the device, but with surgery and maybe the hospitalization. PhilHealth can cover some of them.
That's a lot. Huh?
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Po pala.
And you can imagine we were able to operate on 20 children in 2020 and 2021. And we want to, continue this program for some of the children who really needs the surgery. But in the coming NCIP2, we want more participation from parents, because some of them would avoid coming back for adjustment, because this processor has to be adjusted every so often, depending on how well they are hearing already. So once we have their hearing at manageable levels where they can hear everything already, for example, around 40 decibels or 30 even, then we stop adjusting. And
Yeah,
just
I think for
many,
for low income groups, kasi diba, the cost of being absent and transport and all of that for follow-up is always an issue. So I think in other parts of the world, what they do is the parents are compensated for that, because yun nga, nawawalan sila ng kinikita nila. So, but it does cost a lot, and we're very grateful that PGH has these programs for our children. Stella put something in the chat box, Raymond, about, it says here, if you have a family member who you want to be tested for hearing, please log in and make an appointment in. Siguro let's ask TVUP to make a visual card on that, pghopd.up.edu.ph. Oh, sige, Raymond, we have one more question, then we have to wrap up.
My last question is related to that. So it's well, the cost seems to be prohibitive po, no? Although it, as mentioned, it did not prevent the PGH team from performing such surgeries. Ito po ba ay is it a forever thing? Pag na-implant to, isa lang po ba yan and then hindi na po ba yung papalitan after a number of years? Or and does it maintain parang the level of, I guess, patient satisfaction dahil na-implanta na siya ng cochlea, artificial cochlea po. So is that something that hindi, yun po, I think it's more of durability and kung will they have to undergo another operation about it, Ma'am Leia?
Once operated on, the implant stays there for life. What changes actually are the processors. They get upgraded every so often. From Cochlear, we get software updates every year. And so after they have finished with their programming, we ask patients to come back to us every year so that their programs can also be updated. So processors also have lifespan. You know, these are the ones that you take the batteries on and off. You take it out when you take a bath or you go swimming. Although some of the processors now, they are capable of being worn while you're swimming in the ocean. But still, wear and tear, the cables, siguro ang lifespan ng isang processor, if you can actually maintain it, clean it well, don't drop it, something like that, it will serve you at least until 5 years.
Okay, so matagal-tagal din yung gamit, no?
Yung processor.
Seeing a little bit of an issue on the chat, and I'm wondering if Professor Ombao could say in sign language that we were not able to get an interpreter because they're all booked for Deafness Awareness Week. So I know if I say that to a deaf person, they won't hear it. So is it possible, Professor, to just do that in sign language? To say that we were trying to get an interpreter but we couldn't get anyone for today?
All I can say po is I'm sorry. Because yun nga po, it's not possible for us today since a lot of our interpreters are already...
Sign it. Sign it, Prof.
I'm just say sorry.
Kasi deaf yung nagsasabi.
Because our interpreters are not available.
Okay. So I'm sorry. We are sorry about that.
But they prefer also if we can just type it out.
Yeah, we actually did. But maybe not seen yet. And I apologize to everybody for that. No, I mean, it's so ironic we're talking about deafness, but we don't have a sign language interpreter. So very, very sorry to Sherry Lynn who has brought this up. And we'll do better next time. Okay, so we're gonna give our speakers a few moments to gather their thoughts for a final message for our audience. And during which time Raymond is going to walk through the evaluation for today.
We'll do first the fun quiz, Dr. Susie.
Okay, sige, sorry. Answer the fun quiz pala. Sige.
Yes, well, can we have the... There we go. Okay, so we have two questions po. So first question, I'll give it to Ma'am Rina, and then second question to Dr. Tantoco. First question would be, when is the earliest that you should intervene when it comes to hearing loss, Ma'am Rina?
Yeah, so the answer is here is correct. A is correct, as soon as possible. So that's why we have the Republic Act 9709, which mandates that all newborns be subjected to newborn hearing screening within the first few hours of birth.
Okay. Thank you so much. For the second question, medyo madali po. So we'll ask coordinator for audiology services, si Ma'am Leia. True or false, anybody with hearing loss can communicate immediately
As soon as a cochlear
their implant
is
is
given
given.
as a cochlear implant. Well, the answer there is false because
Opo.
it is a process. It's not like, you buy a pair of shoes, say size 7, and then you're done. Sometimes it takes time. One child is different from the next child. So one may develop speech within 6 months. Others may develop at a longer time, so it's not immediate.
Okay,
And
thank you
you
so much.
need Dr. Raymond, you
Keep
need
up.
your speech language therapist to help you.
Yes, of course. Very, very important. Thank you so much. So in the interest of time, we also move ahead to our evaluation poll. So itong evaluation poll po natin, we do not send out a separate one. This is the one that we have. It's 5 statements, 4-point Likert scale. So we encourage everyone to put in their answers po, no, and participate. If you're seeing this on the screen, dito po sa Zoom, then you're correct po. And I'll read the statements as our speakers try to gather their thoughts for their final messages po. So number 1, the panelists demonstrated thorough knowledge of the topic. Number 2, the panelists were well prepared and organized. Number 3, the panelists spoke clearly and audibly. Number 4, the panelists used appropriate language or technical medical jargons explained. And finally, the panelists contributed to new perspectives and knowledge of managing various key health issues. So we will not be closing this until the end of the webinar as we move on to the parting words from our speakers. Dr. Susie.
Thank you so much, Raymond. So let's start with Dr. Rina.
Okay, so my parting message is that hearing loss is a silent disability which has to be exposed for the harm it can do. And the way to do this is through newborn hearing screening, early diagnosis, and intervention.
Okay, thank you very much. We will now go to Dr. Leah.
I will just like to echo what my chairperson said. Parents should not really be scared to have their child undergo hearing screening. It's not a painful procedure. It will not do any harm to the baby. It will only take about 5 minutes and you're done. And so it's early detection pa rin talaga. Thank you.
Very much. Let's go to Professor Jamie. Go ahead.
For those who are diagnosed with hearing loss, in order to develop communication skills, whether spoken language, sign, or other means, early intervention is very important. And the involvement of the entire habilitation team, especially of the family and the community, is essential to achieve our goals. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for our wonderful speakers for today. Really experts in their field and really serving the community, and a community that's not getting a lot of attention but should, because every child's hearing is important for normal growth and development. Okay, so for our summary, we have Dr. Stella Jose. Stella, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you to our speakers. We had a very informative lecture from all the three of them. And they all emphasized the value of hearing. No? So for Dr. Leia Tantoco, she said the timing of the screening is very important. At birth, no, from 24 hours of life, there should be already the hearing screening. So we have that here in PGH, and all babies born, whether in the charity or in the pay wards, undergo the hearing screening test. Then at 3rd month, the confirmatory hearing test is done. And at the 6th month, you can have the early hearing intervention using hearing aid or operation or speech therapy. And from Professor Jamie Ombao, who is the coordinator for speech therapy services and the National Cochlear Implant Program, she mentioned that it's very important that the family has access or the child has access to sounds. And this is very essential in learning the spoken language. Yeah, so if you cannot hear, of course, you cannot speak also, no? So you cannot communicate well. And the use of cochlear implants will provide an opportunity for children who are profoundly deaf to develop communication skills. So they will still be um, they will still be they can work, no, they can study, they can develop, they can pursue education once they are able to communicate. And I really like the videos that she presented, and it's very important that the family also takes part, not only the speech pathologists, the mother, the father, the children should all interact so that the child will be able to speak. She said that it's important for children to undergo speech therapy in order to maximize their potential to listen, make sense of the sounds around them, and eventually talk. Now, from the talk of Dr. Rina Quintos, she also mentioned, she reiterated the early detection of hearing loss at birth and the early diagnosis before 3 months. And she also said the early intervention is very important. Speech and language therapy, so we need a speech pathologist and we should again involve the patients. And she mentioned about the several programs in the PGH, and they are anticipating the National Cochlear Implant Program too. When I was a deputy director for health operations, there are many requests from ORLHNS, and we all approved them. So at that time, the one who was making the request was Dean Chong, and I signed and I agreed to all her requests. So that's all. Thank you very much to all our speakers.
Thank you very much, Stella, and thank you everyone who joined us today. We hope that this has been a very productive day for you for through Stop COVID Deaths. Certainly for us, we have learned so much. And again, we extend our thanks to all of our speakers and also to Stella for helping organize our expert panel. Stella's always the one who's behind all of this. So next week we have an expert in pediatric surgery. Am I correct, Raymond?
That's correct. That's correct.
Pediatric surgery. Medyo surprise pa. I don't know what the topic is, but it will be pediatric surgery. So be with us next week. We have, again, we always try our best to bring you the best possible speakers. Raymond, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susie, and thank you, Ma'am Stella, for that succinct synthesis and closing remarks. But before we conclude our program, All Stop COVID Deaths webinars are archived for viewing at the TVUP YouTube channel. So you just go open up your YouTube app and type in TVUP, lalabas na po iyon. Doon po sa live tab, doon po lalabas po all na 171, after today 172 webinars na po siya. Kakibat po noon, nandun din po yung ating sa same channel po. SCD shorts po natin, ating mga YouTube shorts or short videos po, very very short and consumable videos containing quick nuggets of wisdom po na inyong matututunan sa bawat short video po natin. Okay? So you can also open up your browsers and type in www.youtube.com/TVUPPH for you to be able to see all of these videos po. Full length at saka yung YouTube short. So you will see in our panel discussion poll or evaluation poll that at least, mataas, at least 92% po, between 92 to 96% karamihan po, 95-96% po. Strongly agree with the statements that are included here, which is a testament both on the topic at hand as well as the quality of speakers that we have had. So we'd like to thank the Department of Otorhinolaryngology of the UP Philippine General Hospital as well as the College of Allied Medical Professions sa UP Manila po for taking the time out po to grace our program and provide their insights and really teach us about the National Cochlear Implant Program and everything na kakibat po nito. Okay? So, that concludes our webinar for the week. Makita-kita po tayo again next Friday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. It's a date.
Together, we can stop preventable deaths.
So, keep safe, keep healthy, and see you online.
Thank you.